YouTube, it's me, Miss Kelly. I'm here for Vlogtober, day 7. Also, October 6th was the kickoff for Mental Health Awareness Week. So I thought it would be a good week to do some videos on myself and my journey in life. I don't plan on doing this as one big video because it's just too much to tell in one. So we will do this possibly in 2 or 3 videos. So where do we begin? Well, Miss Kelly, that's me. Hi, how you doing? I was born in Elmhurst, New York. The first 4 years of my life, I lived in Flushing, Queens. And then when my great-grandfather passed away, he left his house to me and my family, to me and my parents, and my sister had just been born at the time. So we moved into his house in Central Islip, New York. I don't live there now, so don't go looking for me over there. That was my hometown. And, first 4 years of my life were pretty normal. We lived in an apartment in Flushing, Queens. We had a cat until the cat just, moved on. And like I said, we moved out here to Long Island when my great-grandfather passed away. I was his favorite, actually. That was a really rough start in the beginning of a childhood, is that you become really close to family, and then, you don't have them anymore. And then we moved out here to Long Island, and, it was definitely a different place than Queens, of course. But my mom, she was from Central Islip originally. My grandparents were from there. My great-grandfather was from here, and my great-grandfather was a firefighter for the Central Islip Hook and Ladder. My great-grandfather was a Navy veteran. My grandmother worked for the local town government. She worked in what was called resource recovery, which was a recycling program. So I grew up learning how to recycle and be better to the environment and animals. Of course, my grandmother, she had adopted wild whales and things like that. So yeah, we moved out here to Long Island. Things were definitely very different. Of course, I had already had, friends in Flushing, but when I came here, it was like a whole brand new start at the age of 4. Kindergarten was okay. Kindergarten wasn't bad. First grade wasn't bad. It was second grade that really did damage to me, like severe damage. Like I said, first grade and kindergarten were fabulous. I had made friends. I didn't have problems with the teachers, But second grade was horrible for me. I was 6, 7 years old, and for whatever reason, this teacher just wasn't a fan of me. My mom is very thrifty, still is. That's where I get it from. We're not rich. There was a girl who lived down the street who would give me her hand-me-downs, which I loved because she had a great sense of fashion, and my mom always shopped sales. I wore, good brands like Oshkosh, Bagosh, and things like that. And, the teacher, for whatever reason, she would make fun of me for doing that. And she just always picked on me. For some reason, I was just a kid that she just didn't like, and she made it known. There was a time where she was going away. I can't remember if it was for a vacation or for a conference or something of that nature. She was going away, and she made it clear that if I was going to misbehave, she actually called my mother in front of the whole class, telling her that if I misbehave, she has to cancel my birthday party at the ground round, and I wouldn't be allowed to bring any cupcakes in for my class. It's like she was trying to make it so the other kids hated me. So yeah, that's basically it. I didn't misbehave. I did what I had to do. But she, again, called my mom to let her know that I had misbehaved and that I could not bring cupcakes in. And my mom believed her. My mom believed her, and I was punished. The birthday party at the ground round was not canceled, thankfully, because my mom had already made down payments, and it was a joint birthday party for me and my sister. She had later found out from somebody else that wasn't the case, and she felt really horrible. And then the biggest thing was, when you're in the second grade, you're, a little kid still. And I picked my nose, because that's what you do at that age, Kids at that age are gross. So, yeah, she caught me picking my nose, and she made a spectacle of me, which followed me forever. She always made fun of me, and from that point on, my school life was ruined. I was made fun of, bullied, verbally, mentally in elementary school, which carried on into junior high school. I mean, elementary school was hard, That wasn't the only other opportunity incident where I had issues. When I was in the 6th grade, I had come down with Lyme disease. Lyme disease was very new and just recently discovered at the time. So some parents were not very happy that I was in the classroom with their kids. They treated me as if I were dirty, like it was lice. Lyme disease is not lice. Lyme disease is, it's a virus caused by a tick, and it's not contagious. You don't just carry ticks around in your backpack like lice. So, yeah, I was severely bullied. There was one time I was even pushed off the bleachers of the school gym. I had come home with a big bruise. Back when I was being treated for the Lyme disease, they noticed that. But yeah, I was out of school for 8 weeks at home on IV treatments. But before, I had left for that treatment, there was a lot of hatred and bullying and things like that. Like I said, they thought I was dirty and disgusting, and so the kids were, like that. But while I was gone, it was funny because a lot of them had made, get well cards. The teacher I had in 6th grade was very big in teaching empathy and love and kindness towards other people. So she did her best to teach the other kids to be more understanding of others. In the scheme of life, teachers should step up and do those things, because bullying begins in the home, and kids learn this behavior from somewhere. And sometimes you get one kid who just is top #1 bully, and they just have that Hitler complex, and then they grab a whole bunch of other kids, bully them into bullying other people. So, which unfortunately I learned a lot about that in junior high school. When I was bullied in elementary school, it wasn't as bad. It was bad. Like I said, it was verbal, mental, sometimes physical. There were times kids would put gum in my hair, and the teachers really didn't do very much, which is sad. I mean, there were times where they would, try to pin it on my mom and get me to say that my mom was hitting me at home, so they call CPS and things like that. That's how things are still being done, unfortunately, when a kid is being bullied in school, is that they try to pin it on the kid who is being bullied. It's sad to see that some things never change, So, junior high school was rough. It was bad. It was probably the worst experience of my life, next to other things. It was horrible. It was a horrible time. When that teacher in 2nd grade degraded me and made me feel like that, so horrible, just imagine feeling hated and disgusting at the age of 7. all the way up to the age of 13. I never really had many friends. I had one friend, but you know, just like in adult life, I make a friend and you know, they find some way to you know, take advantage or something of that nature. But junior high school, you know, it was a fresh new leaf for me. I thought it was going to be something really great, because in my district we had 4 elementary schools, so we would all, you know, come together in the one junior high school. So I would think, you know, that maybe, you know, with 3 other elementary schools, that's 3 elementary schools of new kids, but that didn't help, because the kids that I went to school with were still there and still found ways to attack me. In fact, one girl, she had been my bully for a really long time. She was kind of a bully to everybody. I mean, her mother was sick, and that's one thing that I had learned, that her mother was sick. But I always felt like when you're going through that, there's really no excuse to attack other people. However, this person did apologize to me later in life. But yeah, she was bullying me pretty hard when we got into the 7th grade there. In fact, somebody saw that she was doing that, and she went to the dean to let them know, and the dean was not really happy with that. In fact, she spoke to the person who was bullying me, and that person denied everything, and then she threatened the person who was defending me, threatened to suspend her for instigating problems. So, you know, there were some kind people in school that, you know, did see things, but because the school was like that, they were afraid to speak up, you know. So they didn't. In fact, that person told me, "I will never speak up for you again. Don't ask. I'm sorry, but your problems can't be mine." So I became, at that point, alone to myself with my own, you know, problems. It got worse from there, and it wasn't, again, it was just bad. There was also some other things that had gone on. There was a teacher, a male teacher, on the first day of school. He told us that, he asked us if we know what tenured means. And we thought he was just there for 10 years. And he said flat out that tenured means that no matter what we say to anybody, he cannot get fired because he's tenured. There were rumors that he had mirrors under his desk. And the one friend that I had in school at the time had taken some Bop magazines to cheer me up one day, and I stupidly wedged them into my textbook while he was teaching, and he took them out and threw them under the desk. And just after class, she went under the desk and to get them back, and she did see the mirrors under there. So from that point on, I never wanted to wear a skirt or a dress to school ever again. I felt so, like, gross. So yeah, that happened, and you know, it was hard. It was very hard. Again, there was physical and emotional abuse from all students. There was that year, that was my first year ever getting a yearbook. You know, in elementary school, they always gave you the teachers, you know, the one class photo, and that year was the first year that I got a yearbook. And I went to I guess that's where you know, have other people sign it, and the things people wrote in my yearbook were appalling. One person wrote, "F you, die." That's how things were. They wanted me gone. 8th grade was just far worse. I became anorexic. I would scam the nurse into giving me extra medication. Like, I knew when the nurses would rotate, so I would go when the original nurse was there and the second nurse was there, so I would take my medication twice. I guess it was just my way of trying to, you know, I don't know, you make sure I wasn't here anymore. There were days that I would wear 6 shirts under a sweatshirt, make sure I got a fever so my grandfather would have to pick me up from school so I could leave. I became anorexic. I didn't want to eat anymore. I had severe panic and anxiety at home. There was one girl who would she would punch me in the back of the head, and when somebody would ask her why'd she do that, she'd say it's because she can. You know, that's how they treated me. There was a time when I was in the gym and they would throw basketballs at my head. There was one time I got locked in a locker. There was another incident that is hard to talk about, but I'm going to. I had stayed after school to get extra help because my grades were failing, and I'm not because I'm a dummy or anything like that, but you know, when you're being treated like that, it's just so hard to want to do your work. So there was a guy that was there after school. My school district was trying to save costs, and what they did was they created an after-school alternative program, so they didn't have to send these kids to another alternative school. Alternative schools are for kids who you know, can't learn, or bad behaviors and things like that. So this one guy, he kept on harassing me and saying hi to me and hitting on me. I was only, you know, 13 years old at the time. I finally got tired of it and told the principal that this guy was bothering me, and when the principal pulled him over, he had said that, you know, I'm just saying hi to her, I'm not bothering her. And he believed that person. He believed that guy. My mom believed the principal. Again, my mom believed something that, you know, wasn't necessarily true. And shortly after that, I was in the school bathroom, and I was assaulted at 13 years old. I don't know this guy's name. I remember his face, but I don't know this guy's name. And because nobody was listening to me beforehand, I just kept it to myself. And that wouldn't be the first time. So, you know, when your kids are telling you somebody's bothering you or hurting you, make sure you listen. And after that incident, I just spiraled into a really dark hole. You know, I finally just couldn't take it anymore, and my behavior was getting bad. Every kind of mental health drug you can name it, I was on it. You know, when my behavior wasn't fixed or being controlled by the other medications, they would just change them out. I was wrongfully diagnosed with oppositional defiancy disorder. So when it got to be really bad, I ended up having to go into the hospital for a mental breakdown caused by all this. I have to tell you, that was like the most liberating thing. I had begged my mom to move me out of that school. There were times where she had considered on suing the school, but you know, she worked for the school district, so she had to make a choice. You know, risk getting fired and losing the medical insurance that would pay for my care, or you know, sue with hopes of getting money to pay for the damages that these kids had done there. But when I went to the mental health facility, I just say, like I said, it was probably the most liberating thing that I had ever gone through. I was finally around other people who knew and understood what I was going through. I wasn't as afraid to express my feelings anymore, because obviously crying in school would have gotten me beat up or made fun of more than I was already being made fun of, you know. So yeah, although I was not allowed to go to my junior high school graduation because I had gone to this facility. I was in a day treatment program. when my graduation was taking place, but the school wouldn't allow it. The school district said it would be too much of a distraction for me to be there. So I wasn't welcome at my own high school graduation. It felt like such a punishment. Like I was being punished for just being attacked by other people. But in the end, I ended up going to a better high school where, you know, I got a much better care. I was in a smaller classroom. It was easier for me to learn. The kids there weren't so mean. I mean, now as adults, they're not so nice, but you know what I'm saying? I felt like I was in the right place. But there were times, like I said, I felt like I was being punished for somebody else's behavior. I don't really feel like I warranted what had happened there. You know, as an adult, I joined Facebook, and all these people were on Facebook. Somehow, deep down, I kind of hoped and wished that I would get an apology or anything like that, but no one ever apologized. It took me a long time to get to a place where I realized that that's just not going to happen. It's not in the cards, and that I just have to let it go. And it took me a long time to get to that place, you know. But it shouldn't have to be that way. No one should have to ever let go of abuse, you know. It was hard. It's still hard. Even at 33, 34 years old, you know, there's some days that I just look at these people and wish that, you know, I wish that they live a good life. I wish them well, because living the way I live now is really difficult. I have PTSD. These things really still haunt me a little bit here and there, and you know, please teach your children loving kindness and acceptance of others. You know, bullying does begin in the home, but sometimes there's that one kid that gets everybody else together and attacks that one kid. Just tell them not to do that. If you even hear your child doing that, you know, make sure they don't. We need to teach our kids better, especially now with the internet. I only imagine what life would have been like for me if the social media had been available when I was going through that. So anyways, this is part 1 of the videos. Next one, we'll talk about my adult life and things like that. Thank you for stopping by. Remember, kindness is free, so spread that. And I love you all. Thank you.